It's such an honor to have Nate Ebner on Free Jacks Live, number 43 for the New England Patriots from 2012 to 2019, and team captain of the New York Giants last year. On the sporting field, he's so scary, Freddy Krueger has nightmares about him. Nate, thanks for joining us, my friend. How are you, pal?
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me. I'm good. You always got the best one-liners, man. Got to keep that going. You're setting a pretty high standard for yourself.
Well, listen, I was going to say you're more dangerous than climate change, but we don't want to upset people that don't believe in the climate changing, sir.
True. That's great.
Pal, listen, your former teammate, Patrick Chung, he was with us on the weekend at Union Point Stadium for the inaugural home fixture for the Free Jacks. Did he reach out to you and tell you how much fun he had?
Oh, absolutely. I was blowing him up, too, taking videos of him and you two doing the interview and telling him how good he looked on TV. It was awesome. But, yeah, no, we definitely spoke about, I was picking his brain because obviously I've shown him a ton of rugby over the years. We'll be in the locker room. I'm watching stuff, showing him, whatever. He's watched me play rugby in the sevens and whatnot. And obviously we've been involved with the MLR now. And for him to be able to go physically watch a game, I really was curious what he thought. And, he had nothing but good things to say. I think he was super surprised by the communication and especially being on like the field and being close to it and hearing how much because as a football player, there's a ton of communication, but I think to hear them, yapping the whole time like that, he was like really like, wow, they're really talking a lot. I think that was something he really experienced was that, which is cool.
Yeah, I know. We got a chance to interview him on the CBS Sports Network, and he couldn't tell me what position he would have played. So where do you think he would slot in?
I think he'd be, a 12 or 13, maybe a fullback as well. Obviously depending on his skills. If you grew up playing the game like you, maybe he could be a 9. But I think he's always been a really physical football player, a really good tackler. And he's athletic, so I'd probably see him at 12 or 13, and let him just carry hard and clean out in the midfield. But if he had his skills down, he'd be a good fullback too. I mean, I think he's a lot like me. He really could play wherever you need him to. He's kind of that utility guy on the football field. He would be similar on a rugby pitch. So, but yeah, I'd probably put him at 13 and I'd play 12, so I could just tell we could be right next to each other. I could just give him the ball and tell him who to tackle.
Oh, that would be an epic combo, Well, let's touch on that, So, you're obviously great friends, but how did you guys become investors in the Free Jacks and what excites you about that opportunity?
Obviously I knew the MLR was coming along. I had a lot of people reach out to me over the years as it was, progressing and being in New England and whatnot when the Free Jacks came along and, speaking with Mags and some of the other people involved with the Free Jacks just seemed like a really good fit. So, ultimately I thought it was not only a good fit for me, but just from an opportunity standpoint for friends that I had that could afford something like that. Just the opportunity to be involved in something on the ground level was something I wanted to share with, close friends of mine or anyone that, like I said, could afford it that I was close with. So shared that with a couple of teammates, but ultimately Pat and I are pretty close, and I think Pat has been so involved in my journey through rugby. He's listened. We've been locker mates for nearly a decade, so he just listens to me yap about rugby and here comes this pro league and me getting excited about it. And I think he was a little more involved from the jump. So when this came about, I think it's something he saw fitting and wanted to be a part of. And Pat's the type of person that's not afraid to say yes. A lot of people in the world now are just, heaven forbid they do something out of their comfort zone. And, I think Pat also trusted me a little bit that I wouldn't try to put him in a weird spot. And I was just honest about it. And I think, at the end of the day, he made his own decision and saw the value in being a part of a new league that has a ton of potential. And really that's it. And it's fun. So we're excited about it.
And we love having you guys, promote the sport, particularly in an audience, that doesn't always, highlight rugby. So speaking of that, what was the response like from your other Patriot teammates, in the NFL when you played for Team USA at the Olympics in 2016? Were they watching all the games? Were they pumped for you? Did a lot of them say, "Oh, I could be better than you"? What was the vibe like?
Yeah, I mean, they were extremely supportive in the 2016 run. I mean, I got to applaud Bill and the Patriots organization for not only allowing me, but when the Olympics came on and I made the team and we were playing in the games, Bill kind of stopped everything to take the 20 minutes or 30 minutes to not have meetings and watch us play on the big screen in the team room. So they had the whole team kind of gather in an assembly and watch us play. And I think they got a kick out of it. They had no clue what they were watching, but I think anyone sees you run through and touch that ball down, they understand you scored. So they got juiced. And I think, a lot of those guys, I got to speak to the team about the journey and whatnot coming back home. Obviously upset we didn't medal, but just what it took to play at that level. They know me from all the years of working with me as a teammate and how I'm a hard worker. And I think when I sit there and really put the rugby fitness standards on a pedestal as I did, because it is what it is. It's such a difficult sport at that level that they probably had a lot of respect for someone like me to be saying that about how hard it was. I think just the whole experience was fun for them to watch, and they gained some new insight in a sport they probably didn't know much about. And they probably realize how tough it is. And ultimately though, man, they were extremely supportive. And, I think a lot of guys would love to try, but here, I could get Pat out on that field, but some of those others, they say they want to, but would they actually go out there? Who knows? But yeah, hopefully one day I get Pat out there. Maybe we'll be in a B-side game with you. We'll play somewhere in a club game or something.
Oh, that'll be great. That'll be great. We can even make a rule that, people can't tackle us, but we can smash them,
They can tackle me. That's fine. I'm fine with that. You'll get rid of the ball before they hit you.
That's true. That's true.
Well, I went to the men's camp with you, and I was like 16 years old. I was super young. I'm like, man, this little guy is so silky, but nobody ever touches him. But you had gloves on, so I was like,
shredded. Come on, why did you have to go there? I mean, I know that my kit was always clean after the game. People questioned that. They were like, you just played an 80-minute rugby game. But with you and Pat on the field, I'd be finding you all the time, left, right, and center,
Yeah, I would just give it to him to let him get banged up.
Exactly. Now, speaking of finding people on the field, there is a question from the community. They asked a lot. They ask if Tom Brady likes rugby and if you even chatted to him about the sport.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. Obviously, he put out that video supporting some friend in South Africa, and not realizing, I think that, the Rugby World Cup was this massive event. And, so we got that right. I mean, after that, we learned a lot about American rugby, and I think he looked at it a little bit, but does he know much about it? I can't say he really does. I don't think he's been super involved. I'd love to sit with him at a Free Jacks game and talk him through what's going on, though.
There we go. Now we're talking. We'll have the VIP tent set up. We'll have everything there to go. You just tell us what you need.
Right.
Val, okay, well, let's go into your rugby career. So remind us again, at what age did you actually pick up rugby ball, and what impact has that sport had in your life?
I mean, I picked up a rugby ball as early as anything, 6 years old. I mean, my mom used to tell me she'd take me in the what's a stroller? Yeah, I was in a stroller at my dad's rugby games when I was a baby. So I mean, I was on the sideline in a stroller. It's just kind of something that's always been a part of my life. It's not something that one day in high school a friend pulled me in. I mean, rugby has been as ingrained in me as, being born in Ohio. Like, you know what I mean? Being from the Midwest, it's just part of me. So I got loads of experience, but, as a young kid in the 90s, really, there's no one playing, so most of my experience was in men's club rugby in the Midwest. So that's really where I got started.
And if you talk a bit about the impact that sport has had on you, obviously you've had an unbelievable journey in American football, but like what sort of things has rugby kind of taught you and what sort of values has it given you?
Man, that's a big question. From the jump, I think the fitness level for me, if we're just talking physical stuff first, the physical level for me, fitness level for me anyways, the more fit I am in whatever sport I'm playing, the better I'm going to be able to play, and the more I'm going to be able to push the pace in whatever I'm doing. And I learned that in rugby, real quick, that if I was fit, about 20 minutes into the game, I could really take over if I was more fit than everyone else, regardless of my ability. And that was something that I could carry over. It doesn't carry over as well in football because everybody stands around and gets a ton of rest. But, as best as I could. I think it taught me a lot about tackling, really not just about tackling, but about protecting myself in contact. I mean, when you're playing rugby, you don't have a helmet on, you don't have pads. There's a natural instinct level there to protect my head. I don't, you know what I mean? I'm coming to tackle you and we're both kind of going to the right. We're not going to put our heads together. It's just a natural thing to kind of get your head out of tackles, get your head out of contact situations. And, you get scraped and cut and stuff like that. But those head-to-heads are just, rugby taught me to protect myself. Let's just say that. And I think that carried over into football big time for me because, especially in college, the way some of these kids would throw themselves at people with no regard, not only for their body, but their head. It just was like, I just couldn't believe it. And on top of that, the inefficiency in their tackling was just ridiculous because it's like you're trying to tackle with your head. You know what I mean? So I'd say that was one of the bigger things that I could just spotlight that helped me in my career. Definitely the tackling and obviously the fitness. And, rugby is a game where you kind of got to see everything. It's constantly changing and things are there's all these moving parts and you have to just keep updating, what's the next move and where to go with the ball. And I think as a athlete or sports player, it opens this vision up to kind of everything that you're seeing rather than this tunnel vision of, what's right in front of me. At least as a playmaker, as a 10 or a 15, you see more of that stuff. And I think when I play football, I kind of see everything around me, whereas I notice a lot of guys coming into that sport just get very locked into their little thing that they have going on. But that's kind of football. You get, you read your key and you got your one-on-one matchup, but I mean there's just so much other space and things going on around you. So rugby's helped me immensely in all of that. But as a man, I could go on and on and on about that. I would say the biggest thing for me is just it's humbled me in a way. I'll never forget where I came from playing rugby, playing on some of the fields that I played on, trying to not having goalposts and, my dad making half goalposts that people could stand up at, in the end zone so we could kick because, I could kick a little bit. So it was like, it's important. We need our points. We were not going to just, it's a try or nothing, just the things that I came from and what I had to do to play that game and, the people it takes around you to have success and, you can't score a try on your own. Someone had to pass you the ball or whatever. And I think through all those experiences, I'll never forget what I come from and how, that sport takes everybody around you to have success. And, I think being in the NFL, seeing some of these major sports, you get a lot of me guys, a lot of people that I think truly believe that they do everything on their own. And I just can't relate to that. And I never will. And that's because of rugby 1000%, because I know every try I ever scored or every try I assisted someone else in scoring, there were other people involved. And, that same goes for football. I mean, there's, 11 guys on the field, there's 10 other guys doing their job so that you can get it done. And that part of our culture in the U.S. and with sports especially, I hate how much it becomes such a me guy attitude, and I wish we could change that. And I think, for sure, rugby is something that has made me humbled, and I'm so appreciative for that, because I see how it is, and I don't ever want to be like that. So.
Well, and I love that you're sharing it as well, by investing in the Free Jacks and by promoting the game, you're sharing the love for the sport so other young girls and boys can pick up a ball and get those, and, as a byproduct, get those values as well as the camaraderie and the friendship and all the great stuff that comes with it. Now, I want to touch on another point here. You're also one of the most famous American Jewish rugby players. Now, I know Zach Test, Kevin Swear, and myself, we tried for years to try get you to play in the Maccabiah Games in Israel, and understandably, you've been fairly busy. But what I do want to say is, at the 2013 Maccabiah Games in Israel, Dave Rosinski, Buzzy, got us a finished strong wristlet, and we each wore it. And we know it was a tribute to your late father, who is a big part of that community. And I know that it's a big part of the book you recently wrote. It's in the title as well. Could you tell us a bit about the book and the inspiration behind writing it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, well, first off, my dad played in the Maccabiah Games in '89, and that's something I've always wanted to do. I haven't written that off yet. I'm old. I'm not that old yet. But I got to get you out there. Kevin, somebody's got.
I'm in. If you're in, I'm in. Kevin's in. I know Zach's in. Well, no, yeah. Zach will coach us.
Yeah, Zach's got to coach us. But as long as we're all there, I definitely want to go. I actually got to go on a trip with Mr. Kraft to Israel a couple years ago, and that blew me away, and I would love to go back there after that experience I had. It was fantastic, and to play rugby at that would be just icing on the cake. So no, I definitely want to be a part of that. That was huge for my dad. I think that was one of my dad's prouder moments as a rugby player. He wasn't much of a representative guy. He was big on I love the game. We'd play on Saturdays. He'd join the B side. He'd put the other team's jersey on just so he could go out on the field and beat up his own guys. He just wanted to play the game. So representative rugby really wasn't, his thing. But, I know he took a lot of pride in not only being Jewish, but being able to represent the U.S. in the Maccabiah Games. And that was something I always kind of wanted to do and still want to do if the stars align. But like you said, I've been busy. But no, the finish strong, that was an awesome honor for you guys to wear that, by the way. Thank you. But yeah, I mean, that was kind of my dad's mantra to me. Ultimately, when my dad passed, one of the last workouts we did prior to that was like a rowing workout. And, he just was, how the rower can get, he was just in my head about, finish strong, come on. Cause you know how the end of that stuff goes. And that was something that really resonated with me. And then when, he died and I had to give a eulogy, that was something I spoke a lot about. And really, when I reflected on it, it was something that was a message of his that he always was saying to me. So ultimately in writing this book, I had been wearing this bracelet for the last, 10 years or so since he's passed every day. And it was something that, obviously was kind of a no-brainer when you think about what the book was about and, what that meant to me. So that's what we titled it. It's, Finish Strong, Father's Code and a Son's Path. And basically it's about my dad and our relationship. It's about rugby. It's about my journey through sports, through playing rugby as a youth to walking on to Ohio State, not really playing football at all, none in high school, just kind of peewee stuff. And then walking on to Ohio State and getting drafted and going to Super Bowls and then kind of transitioning back to the Olympics and, going back to football again and just kind of that whole journey. But really that foundation is rooted in my relationship with him and ultimately giving credit to the fact that, I was able to do pretty cool, amazing things. And I gained that strength through such a strong bond with my father that really gave me, like I said, strength to pursue those things and a mental fortitude and an attitude about the way I go about things that, he kind of created within me. And, we talk about that bond and how strong that relationship that was for me and just the importance really of not only father figures, but parents in their children's lives and, how impactful those relationships can be on these young people. So, you know, if anything else, it's an honest, genuine take on my life. And I like to think it's a humble experience through my journey, and really hopefully gives a lot of credit to my father and everything he did that I see that just helped me through everything that I've gone through. So.
Yeah, Nate, it's an inspiring story, a real, and one that we've got to see, knowing you over the years and things like that in the rugby community and of course the world as well. Now, final thing before we let you go, do you have a message for the Free Jacks squad as they continue to be workhorses in Major League Rugby 2021?
Man, keep doing what they're doing. I mean, I would just say to try to continue to improve each game like they have been. They had a tough one last week, Utah didn't make it easy on them, but just continue to see improvement and try not to take steps backwards. I mean, just if you can look back on this season and see where you started, and to the end where you're ending and how you're playing rugby, getting rid of those early season mistakes and really not only coming together as a team, but just getting those small things right. Each game, trying to improve that. If you just focus on that, I mean, a lot of stuff will take care of itself after that. So I would love to see the continued improvement. It's been fun to watch. They've been playing some inspiring ball. Man, watching them defend their own goal line in the last 2 weeks has been phenomenal. I get juiced watching it. And, yeah, man, just continue to improve week in and week out. And we're all watching and we're excited.
Nate, that's awesome. Much love to you, my friend. It's so good to hear from you. And I know the Free Jacks, the community, rugby in general, the world thanks you for everything you've done, pal. You're more elusive than Bigfoot.
Man, I knew something was coming. Thanks.